Costs associated with the following program have been underwritten by Air Capital Cablevision Incorporated.
The next band that will be coming on in just a few minutes will be the Jefferson College Band of Hillsboro, Missouri. We just heard the Central State #1 band, just finished a short time ago. I think we have now the Jefferson College Band from Hillsboro, Missouri, just starting right now, so let's join them back on the stage.
Thank you very much. Faithful de Huesos is a tune by a man named Beto. He plays in the Austin area, and that was arranged by Bob Meyer. It happens to mean brain bones, and we tried to play our brain bones, I guess. We're going to slow things down right now with a thing called Blues for CJ. This features a trumpet player and saxophone. Thank you. That featured Kenny Myers on alto saxophone, Aaron McDaniel on trumpet. On the previous tune, that was Paul Rose on the various sax. We're just tickled pink to be here. We're really looking forward to the whole weekend of jazz. Thank you for your kind support. We're going to play or close this thing with a thing called Secret Love, featuring Connie Krause, flugelhorn, and once again, Kenny Myers on alto sax. Secret Love.
From Hillsboro, Missouri, the Jefferson College Jazz Band under Brad Manson. Once again, stay with us for...
Well, that was the Jefferson College Band from Hillsboro, Missouri. The director of the group was Brad Madsen. This group is not competing in the big band competition this evening here in Miller Concert Hall, but they did want to come play 3 pieces this evening on tonight's show. A couple of the tunes they played, they opened with a piece called Brain Bone, and the piece we just heard was an old tune Doris Day recorded a long time ago, a nice big band arrangement there called Secret Love. Well, good evening again. Welcome to our big band competition here in Miller Concert Hall, Dirksen Fine Arts Center on the Wichita State University campus. My name is Gary Chu. I'm the operations manager at KMUW, which is also from Wichita State University. The station is currently broadcasting the program as well. We're glad that you're with us, and we'll be here until it's all over with. We're running just a little bit behind schedule, but not too far. Again, that was the Jefferson College Band from Hillsboro, Missouri, and another Missouri band is up in just a few moments. Another Missouri band from Springfield, in fact. This is the Southwest Missouri State Lab Band. Will be coming up shortly. And let's give you the rest of the lineup for the evening. This group, incidentally, is competing. The next group from East Texas State in Commerce, Texas, also is competing. Following East Texas State from Lincoln, Nebraska, will be the University of Nebraska, and also that group will be competing. Then there will be another band from Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri Stage Band, scheduled for around 9 o'clock, we think. Our times are not exact. Incidentally, we would like to remind you again, this program is entirely live, and we are talking and filling in between the bands, and we don't exactly know whenever they'll start or whenever they'll stop. So we're, as they say in the trade, winging it a bit. The University of North Texas at Denton, the 2 o'clock band will play after the Southwest Missouri Stage Band. Now the Denton band will be a non-competitive band this evening. Again, that's in fact, the University of North Texas at Denton, 2 o'clock band. And of course, we all know what kind of jazz comes out of Denton, Texas. And then we'll be pleased to watch the WSU Jazz Arts 1 band, conducted by Tom Fowler. That's a non-competing band tonight. And then to wrap up our big band proceedings tonight here in Miller Concert Hall will be the Central State University Band from Edmond, Oklahoma, last year's winner of the 1987 Wichita Jazz Festival Big Band Competition. From Edmond, Oklahoma, just down I-35, almost to Oklahoma City. So that gives you rather a nice schedule for the evening, and if you enjoy big band music, we know that you'll stay right there on Channel 13 for the rest of the evening and enjoy it with us. We'd also like to let you know about some other things that are going to be happening later on as I turn to my crib notes here and see that we have other people coming along to visit with us this evening here on Channel 13 as we go through the evening. Coming up on our next break, we'll be visiting with Mr. Tom Fowler, who is an assistant professor in the School of Music here at Wichita State University and director of the WSU Jazz Arts 1 band. We'll be visiting with him about his program here at Wichita State University and also about the Wichita Jazz Festival overall, which, of course, as you know, goes until Sunday evening. Following Mr. Fowler, we'll be visiting with a gentleman by the name of Andy Clark. He will be a judge, and rather I should say is a judge in tonight's proceedings. He is a sight reading judge, and he also is a music publicist. So we'll be pleased to talk with Mr. Clark. After Andy Clark, and a break later on in the evening, we'll be visiting with somebody that many of you are probably familiar hearing on KMUW from time to time, John O'Hara. John is a student, a music student here at Wichita State University, and he is also a part-time jazz announcer on KMUW, and you listen to him I think Monday through Thursday evenings, and also on Sunday evenings hosting jazz programs from our jazz library at the radio station. John will be in to visit. He's also a trombone player, and he's also a singer, and we'll be talking about the student perspective of learning to play great jazz, whether it be in combo or big band. After John, later in the evening, we'll be talking with another big band judge. He is an improvisation instructor at the University of North Texas at Denton. His name is Mike Steinell. And we'll ask him just how those judges really judged all of those people down there on the stage. After that interview guest, we will be visiting with Dr. Kent Kidwell. Dr. Kidwell is the director at Central State University down in Edmond. And, of course, as we mentioned earlier this evening, his big band won the big band competition last year, and we'll probably get some interesting insights from him because they turn out some excellent jazz players down there at Edmond, and we'll be pleased to talk with Dr. Kidwell about that. And we want to know his perspective on the value of festivals like this and also the clinics that occur for the musicians. And then later on in the evening, this is going to be a long evening, it's going to be a fun evening, and we hope that you'll stay with us for the evening. A man by the name of Gary Hess. Most of us know Gary. He is the president of the Wichita Jazz Festival, and we'll practically round out the evening with him after visiting with him about the Jazz Festival. Then, of course, later on we'll give you the winners, we'll wait on the judges, and we'll do all of it, and we'll not leave until the last note's played. That's basically what the evening's going to be all about. But it's just not this evening where all the action takes place, because it happens all weekend, of course, here in Wichita on the last weekend in April in Wichita, Kansas, and we would like to tell you a bit about what's going to be coming up at the 17th Annual Wichita Jazz Festival. Of course, many of you know some of the things, but we'll recap those for you. On Sunday, down at Century 2 Convention Hall, the doors will open at 12:30, and the music gets underway at 1 with the Mid-Kansas Jazz Ensemble. This is a by-audition group of high school students from South Central Kansas, sponsored by the Wichita Jazz Festival. And then at 1:30 in the afternoon, a group with a great name, the Uncalled Four. That's a good name. I like that. They're from Wichita, and the group is made up of Corey Combs, Andrew Bishop, Jamie Moore, and David Wilhelm. So we hope you'll be wanting to catch the Uncalled Four, F-O-U-R. At 2:10 Sunday afternoon, the Wichita State University Jazz Arts 1 group will play. At 2:50 in the afternoon, the Houston School for the Performing and Visual Arts from Houston will play. That's at 2:50. At 3:30, the winner of tonight's big band competition will play. And then at 4:10, the winner of the combo competition, which has been going on today and this evening here in Dirksen Fine Arts Center. At 4:50 Sunday evening, down at the Century 2 Convention Hall, the Civilized Tribe will play. That's the nationally acclaimed Dixieland group from Central State University down in Edmond. They play lots of music down there in Edmond. There will be an intermission following then. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll listen to the 1988 Wichita Jazz Festival All-Stars. And if you haven't heard, we've got a great lineup this year. John Hurd, bass. George Cables, piano. Ralph Penland, drums. Howard Land, tenor. And Curtis Fuller, trombone. They'll play for about an hour. And we'll have an intermission. And then, of course, comedian Pete Barbuti will pull some of his humor on us. He'll probably be doing it most of the day, but he'll give us a lot of it about then. And set us all up for the big show-stopping Doc Severinsen Tonight Show Band, which is scheduled to get underway about 8 o'clock Sunday evening. So that's the lineup at the Sunday festivities of the Wichita Jazz Festival down at the Convention Hall at Century 2 Concert Hall. But there is even more. Yes, indeed. We've got to talk a little bit about the kickoff party, which occurs tomorrow night out at the Cotillion. And, of course, let's see, we have Jimmy Smith, the organist, who will play at 9:45 in the evening. And then, of course, preceding Jimmy, we'll have our first opportunity to hear the Wichita Jazz 88 All-Stars again. George Cables, piano. Curtis Fuller, trombone. John Hurd, bass. Tenor, saxophonist Harold Land, and Ralph Penland, drummer. So we hope that you will be ready for all of this, because we're about ready to go back to the stage here shortly and see who's going to be playing next. And actually coming up again shortly on the stage will be the Southwest Missouri State Lab Band from Springfield, Missouri. This will be a competing band coming up shortly. And then after that, the East Texas State Band from Commerce, Texas. Following that will be the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, competing. Southwest Missouri State Stage Band will play then, and that will be a competing band as well. But the three final bands of the evening tonight will not be competing. They'll just be performing, and we'll be enjoying the University of North Texas 2 o'clock band from Denton, from Wichita here, WSU Jazz Arts 1, and then the Central State. Well, let's get to the stage now. Here's the Southwest Missouri State Lab Band, live.
Thank you. Randy Lula on the piano. John Johnson on the trombone. That was Toshiko Akiyoshi's Studio J. Our second tune today is going to be from Bob Mincer. This is from his album. I can't remember the name of the album. It doesn't matter. It's called One Man Band. This will feature Randy again on piano and Jason Rikitke on trumpet. One Man Band. We feel very fortunate to have a talent like our pianist. As a student at SMS, this last fall, he composed an entire suite by himself, orchestrated it for a performance with this band and the dance department at our university. And so we thought it was important enough music and important enough for it to be heard by a wider audience. So we're going to program two of his numbers now. The first one is a ballad called Song for Polly that he wrote and orchestrated, and followed by the finale from that suite. We'll go right into it. So this is Randy Luna's compositions, features mostly him. Song for Polly.
Southwest Missouri State. Well, that was the Southwest Missouri State Lab Band from Springfield, Missouri. The director is Dave Scott down there in a very beautiful part of the Ozarks in southwest Missouri. The pieces they played were Studio J by Toshiko Akiyoshi, Bob Mintzer's one-man band, also a suite, which I think was called Song for Polly, a suite and finale put together by their pianist who got that very nice applause there at the end. The Southwest Missouri State Lab Band from Springfield, Missouri. Good evening again. My name is Gary Chu. Pleased to be your host this evening here in Dirksen Fine Arts Center, Miller Concert Hall, as we watch and listen to the big band competition away into the late hours here on the Wichita State University campus. We've got several more bands coming up. Right now we have somebody to visit with here before our next band comes along. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Tom Fowler. Tom is the Assistant Professor of Music Education at the Wichita State University. Tom, it's nice to have you with us here.
Nice to be here.
It's really a pleasure to be. I've seen you around the campus quite a bit, but I really haven't had a chance to talk to you, so this is a good place for us to have our first
meeting,
conversation.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, you know, Tom, I was looking through some of the information the WSU 13 people have given me here. Now, I'm looking back historically, Wichita Jazz Festival can really boast some great performers coming through. Bill Evans, 1975, one of my favorites. Count Basie, one of everybody's favorites,
Right.
1979. Phil Woods twice, 1984, 1987. How far do you go back to the Wichita Jazz Festival?
Well, I think I had left the area for a while when it first started, but probably around 1977, 78 was when I got involved. I moved back to Wichita to go to school, work on a graduate degree at Wichita State, and got involved in the jazz education portion of it, and since then been pretty active with it.
Tell me how you put this stuff together every year. It looks to me like it might be quite a bit of work.
Well, it's a project that really runs the entire year. We have meetings throughout the summer, and along in September, October, we start sending mailers out to all of the college people that have been here before. And in fact, almost every college that has a jazz ensemble in it in the area. And so we send those flyers out, and they send back and say, yeah, we're interested in attending. We send more paperwork. So it's a kind of a constant communication situation for most of the first semester. And then as we get down to the wire in March and April, we get their applications back in, and we find out, who's actually going to be here, and then we do the scheduling. And, it's just like any other festival. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of coordination.
And a lot of good music coming out of the process.
Oh, it's fantastic music.
Yeah. What does a student musician, a jazz player, get from this when he or she comes?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that they get to hear a lot of other student players or musicians. That's the first thing. And jazz is, America's native art form. It's been with us now for about 80 years, and kids sometimes feel like if they're in a program at a college maybe in a smaller community, or I'm talking about a community the size of Wichita or smaller, maybe they feel like, well, I'm the only one around here playing jazz. There's not very many of us. And all of a sudden we have a festival like this, and boy, it's just like everybody comes out of the woodwork and says, here are my talents in this area, and this is what's a lot of fun. I was just walking through the hall getting back here, and I saw students from Oklahoma who I'd worked with last summer in their all-state high school band. And 3 of them came up and said, hey, I remember you from last summer. So it's just kind of a gathering place. Everybody gets to see each other once again, renew acquaintance.
Well, I know I lived for a long time in Tulsa.
Oh,
I used to
yeah.
come up every year. There are a lot of
Sure.
good friends of mine. There might be even some of them watching on their cable channel this
Absolutely.
evening who are up here from Tulsa who came up every year, and I always came up with them, and I've always enjoyed the Wichita Jazz Festival. It's really great for me to be able to be a part of it and visit with you and listen to all this great music. Well, let me ask you another question. I'll probably ask this question to some of the judges later on this evening, but I know when I listen to a big band, I have my own idea of what constitutes the band that I enjoy or the band that I think is good, and there are a few bands that people agree on, they like Basie, et cetera, and go on and everything like this through the years, but what does a judge really look for when he or she is making that adjudication of a good big band jazz group?
Well, I think in terms of overall performance, precision, how well the band plays in tune, what the jazz soloists are able to say, how they communicate with the audience, does the band play in a jazz style? There are some great jazz bands, big bands, Count Basie Orchestra, Duke Ellington Orchestra, Stan Kenton, Woody Herman, Toshiko Akiyoshi, the Bob Mintzer Band now, Buddy Rich Band, on and on. So there are a lot of models. And typically college bands try to model themselves after one of these bands. There are very few bands that really have their own style, and you say, well, this is one particular band. Maybe North Texas State University has that identity because so many of the students down there write for the band. So I think what we're really looking for is a model of a professional organization that you've heard, and they're based on that criteria.
Well, also, I wanted to know how it was that jazz struck you at the earliest age you can recall, and made you realize that you really loved jazz.
That's an interesting question for me. I've told people that never in a situation where I was being interviewed before, but friends, when we've talked about this, I think I can remember at a very, very young age, even 5, 6, 7 years old, hearing music on the radio that was jazz, and I was taken with it. I mean, I listened to it with more interest than the average kinds of things that were on. I know when I was in junior high and high school, instead of being, I graduated from high school in 1964, and at that time the Beatles were very big. Well, I didn't, if you'd asked me who the Beatles were in 1964, I could have told you, but it wasn't music I was interested in. By that time, I was hooked on listening to Miles Davis and John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley and Bill Evans and Herbie Hancock and other people who were coming on the scene. So we had a little, in fact, Craig Owens, the guitar instructor here, and I were great friends in high school and had bands there and played together, and we were kind of into jazz as it was. So I guess
That's the way it happened to me. Sort of radio, I think, is what introduced me to it, and that was at the time I was able to only pick up jazz on AM radio all the way from St. Louis, and that was the only place I could find it, and so that made an introduction for me. Well, we're going to have probably here before too long the East Texas State Band from Commerce, Texas. It's conducted by Robert Houston. We're going to go back to the stage right now, but Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you for
It's been a
the
pleasure
interview.
talking
Yeah.
to you. Okay.
Of this festival. We're going to play 3 tunes for you this evening. The first one was an original written by Neil Slater at North Texas State. It'll feature 3 soloists, Tim Grace on soprano, Jeff Gleason on vibes, and Wayne Reynolds on guitar. Texas composers this evening. Our second chart is an arrangement written by Steve Owen at University of Texas at Arlington. In Memoriam, Buona Dick features David Kelly on trombone and Chuck Davis on tenor. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our closing number, also by a Texas composer, tragically died a year and a half ago, Pete Ballmers, in that Dallas area for many years. This was his last arrangement called Romeo and Juliet. It's an extended work and features Chuck Davis once again on tenor, Vern Richter on flugelhorn, and Randy Coltis on drums. Thank you very much. Thank you.
East Texas State University. Dr. Bob Houston.
Okay, that was the East Texas State Band from Commerce, Texas, the director, Robert Houston. That last piece was an extended piece, as they said at the introduction, called Romeo and Juliet, sort of a concert big band piece. Before that, another thing entitled In Memoriam. And again, the East Texas State Band from Commerce, Texas, Robert Houston, the director. Incidentally, we have quite a good crowd out there in Miller Concert Hall, which is just down the hall from where we are here. Good evening again. My name is Gary Chu. Pleased to have you along here for the rest of the evening here on Channel 13 with Big Band Competition, live from Wichita State University, Miller Concert Hall, Dirksen Fine Arts Center. We'll be back to another band here in just a moment. It will be the University of Nebraska at Lincoln Band. Director is Rusty White. They should be on in about 10 minutes. We'd like to take the time right now to visit with one of the gentlemen who is scoring the band, so to speak, or listening to music groups here in the Dirksen Fine Arts Center. His name is Andy Clark. Andy, glad you could drop by.
Thank you.
And take some time out of your rather busy schedule. And the list says here on the people we're talking with that you are a sight reading judge. Is that correct?
That's right. You've heard the band. You've heard the bands out there performing music they've worked up and perfected to the best of their abilities. When they get done there, they go into another room and perform a tune which they've never seen. As a matter of fact, it's an unpublished tune, college level, about a grade 5 tune. They have 10 minutes to talk it down. They can't play, but they can talk it, they can sing it, the director can give them all the instructions they want. And then after 10 minutes, they just have to sort of put up or shut up and play the tune.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite a different situation because in the commercial music world or in the music business, you don't have the kind of rehearsal time that you have in colleges or in schools. So it's a real good indicator of the type of training the students are getting.
So you have to really just pick up your instrument, look at the music a little bit, and be able to play it pretty well right away.
You bet. And, you know, some of the bands, it's just incredible how well they do. The music is not easy, and it's not something they've ever heard. The particular tune we're doing today is written by a New York writer, Bob Menzer, who's very popular. Sure. It's an unpublished tune, so they've never had a chance. They couldn't have bought it or anything. And
no way to go to school on it ahead of time at all.
no, and well, makes pretty interesting. So,
Well, what is it? Obviously, you're supposed to play the right notes and the right rhythm for you. I mean, as best of their ability. But is that what you're listening for primarily, or do you listen for some of the other things that you would if you were judging a band that has already rehearsed a piece, or do you sort of put that aside?
no, the very best bands that are here, the very top group of bands, they're going to take care of the notes and the rhythms pretty well. These kids are very well
On the first
trained.
reading, then, huh?
You'd be surprised at how well we've heard a couple of the bands do it. Some of the bands, it is a struggle for the notes. It is a struggle for just to play the thing. It depends on how mature the band is, and it's just like any other type of festival. You have bands of all levels, but some of the top bands that are here, we're actually listening pretty much for the same kind of nuances that they would be out here in the other hall. It's not going to be as tight, for one thing. The other thing, the solos, the kids are basically being required, this team has a trombone solo and a tenor solo. They're being required to do a solo, an improvised solo, on a tune which they've never heard, do it at sight. So obviously, it's not going to have the feeling it would after the band's played it a few times. But again, you'd be real surprised at how good some of the bands pull it off. And we just got through hearing a band just did it super.
Yeah. Well, what about grading the band? Do you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what? Do you grade by numbers or letters? Or
Yeah, you're basically grading. I think the level is basically 1 through 5. The truth is, you
really not going to hear the terrible grade 5 and grade 4 bands in a contest like this. So basically, what we're talking about is bands that just absolutely kill the chart. I mean, they just do it.
Yeah.
Some bands that do okay and some bands that don't do very good. So I think basically in the sight reading, you're looking at about 3 levels of bands. And the bands generally fall in those categories.
What kind of credentials do you have to have, and some of your colleagues, to be a judge here? I obviously have to be a musician, I would have a guess.
I don't know. I happen to be a music publisher, and that's my background, and a player. And I think part of it, you have to be gullible. You have to get conned into doing it. But this is the first time I've judged a lot of contests, but it's the first time I've ever judged sight reading. And I've been amazed at how well
The level is, the technicality is pretty good with it.
it really is.
Do you think that make a comparison among genres of music, do you think sight reading is one of the better attributes of the jazz player, or would that be more for a classical player or rock player, or can you make that kind of a judgment?
I don't think, I think that's real hard to make. Generally, I think the perception is that the classical, the legit players are the incredible readers, that the jazzers are the sloppy readers, the rock guys can't read at all. That, obviously, there must be a little bit of truth to that, or the perceptions of that. But what I think you'd find out there today is that some of these bands, the very top group of bands, can read with anybody. And again, you're dealing with different things when you're talking to legit players. Their sight reading, they're dealing with notes and pretty traditional interpretation of those notes. And what we're talking about here is 2 kids in each of these bands having to get up and improvise a musical solo that makes sense on a tune they're hearing for the first time while they're doing it. And that's a pretty complicated procedure. The whole brain has to get in high gear.
I don't even want to think about it myself, because it seems to me also if a band is a good sight reading group, it also would give it more time, rehearsal time for shading and developing other aspects of a piece before presentation, so they wouldn't have to stay with the notes so long.
Well, I know that's definitely true at the lower grade levels. Bands like high school band directors that are able to teach their high school kids to read well, their band programs are much more successful because they don't have to hammer stuff into the kids over and over.
Andy, I think the next band is coming up now, so
Nice talking.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. This has been Andy Clark with us, one of the sight reading judges at Wichita Jazz Festival Big Band Competition. We're going to go back to the stage now. Here's the University of Nebraska at Lincoln Band, Randy White. We're starting right now.
Thank you. Dave Sharp on alto, Brent Beach on tenor, Chris Varga drums, Steve Doyle on piano. That was Latin Dance. We're going to do a tune now, arranged by Les Hooper. This is I Want a Little Girl, and it features Dave Sharp on alto, Rob Hartung on trumpet, and Steve Doyle on piano. I Want a Little Girl. Thank you. Dave Sharp, alto. Rob Hartung, trumpet. Steve Doyle, piano. I Want a Little Girl. Thank you. We're going to finish up tonight with a tune written by Bill Holman. This features Dave Sharp on alto again, Rob Hartung again on trumpet, and from time to time throughout the tune, Chris Varga on drum set. This is Film at 11.
University of Nebraska Jazz Ensemble, Rusty White, director. I'm asked to make the announcement once more.
That was the University of Nebraska at Lincoln Big Band, the director, Rusty White. The piece we just heard was Bill Holman's film at 11. Before that, we heard I Want a Little Girl, and they opened the set with Latin Dance. Again, the University of Nebraska Band, Rusty White, the director. Good evening again. My name is Gary Chu. I hope you're enjoying the big band competition live here on the Wichita State University campus in Miller Concert Hall of Dirksen Fine Arts Center. Pleased to have you along. We'll be here till the last note is played, probably, we guess, around 11 o'clock or so. And so we hope that you'll spend the rest of the evening with us and enjoy the fine big band jazz. We have someone else to visit with now before our next band that's underway. It will be the Southwest Missouri State #1 band coming along here in just a few minutes. We'd like to introduce to you Mr. John O'Hara. John?
How you doing?
Nice to have you with us. John is a student here at Wichita State University. He is a music performance student. And I know John pretty well myself because he also is an announcer at KNUW and does a jazz program every Monday through Thursday night.
Monday through Thursday.
Yeah. And also he does some classical programming on Saturday mornings on the music room on Saturday. And of course, we're going to talk about jazz primarily right now. But John, it's good to have you with us. Can you tell us a little bit about what a student coming to the Wichita Jazz Festival and all these clinics can gain, and also what you found that you've gained from participating in it?
I've been coming to the Jazz Festival ever since I was about 7 years old. And you can basically divide this festival up in 50-50, student and professional performance. Have as much of the student input as far as performance goes, just as much of the professional performance. It's evident here. They're all students that are performing tonight at this particular thing, and one band was chosen for the Sunday show. And of course, tomorrow there's the clinics that all the students, high school or actually any age, will be able to attend tomorrow, anywhere from 9:30 to 2 tomorrow.
So it's really been something that's really been helpful for you?
Definitely, yes. I've seen, over the years I've attended the festival, I've seen, I can't think of very many of the major jazz performers that I haven't seen this festival.
I was just going back in our book here, we've got put together, historically, some of the great jazz players who've been here through the years. It's unbelievable. Back in 1972, Clark Terry, Marilyn May, Jay McShann, Cannonball Adderley, the list goes on.
I even saw Bill Evans when I was about 7 years old.
1975?
Yeah.
Well, it's really been a great experience for you, too. What about the clinics? You learn something every year?
Oh, definitely. Each performer has his own philosophy of jazz performance to share with everybody. That's the great thing about it. Each one's different, and each student will be able to learn various techniques.
When did you start playing? I know I've seen you at the Wichita Jazz Festival myself. When was the first time you played?
Played in this festival? It wasn't until I was a freshman. And when I was a freshman at Wichita State, that was the first year that Jazz Arts 1 actually took part in the Sunday show, which was in 1982.
What about when you were in high school? You said you graduated from Wichita East.
Wichita East.
Were you a musician in high school?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've been playing trombone for 16 years.
Old hand.
16 out of 24.
How did you start out like that? I mean, what happened musically? I asked Tom Fowler the same question earlier this evening about what was his first recollections of being.
It was a long time ago, but basically all I remember is just my mom brought home a trombone. That was it. I really didn't have a choice of any other instrument at all.
She said, "You will play the trombone."
No, she didn't.
John.
No, it was just one of. Well, actually, if you want to get that way, I was much taller than everybody when I was younger. They thought the length of the arms, trombone, would be a good thing to play. But I never made a choice between instruments. The trombone was what I wanted.
John's going to be playing some different kind of music this coming, what, Tuesday?
Tuesday night.
Yeah, he's going to be playing a concerto for trombone and orchestra. He's not going to play all the orchestral pieces because he'll be playing with the Wichita State University Symphony Orchestra. Tell us a little bit about that piece. And this isn't jazz.
Oh, no. Well, actually, you know, if you delve into the piece, there are some jazz influences, but it's definitely contemporary, not a contemporary, but a 20th century. And there'll be all students playing concertos.
And it's pretty. This is an atonal.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, it's listenable.
Yeah, good. Well, that'll give you an idea that there's a lot of music that goes on here at Wichita State University. Of course, we have some excellent series of programs that we carry on KNUW, in performance series, which is lots of faculty performances every Saturday at noon at 89.1 FM. And we also have, of course, the Wichita Symphony Orchestra series, which is currently, I think we have 2 more broadcasts to that. So there is a wealth of music going on here. Right now, the main concentration is jazz, tonight particularly big band. Would you be able to prioritize your likes as far as jazz is concerned, John? I mean, do you like to play in the big band?
Oh, yeah, I like to do everything. I've never chosen one music over the other. This music is music to me, whether it's jazz or classical, anything I play. I can't, you know, if I chose one or the other, I'd be discriminating.
And you feel you're akin to it all?
Oh, yeah.
Great, great. Let's see. Now, you started playing trombone when you were 7 years old. What kind of things did you play then?
Oh, well, basically, there was a book, you know, everybody starts out with the Bellwin Band Builder book one. Yeah. It's pretty Mickey Mouse pants in there.
What about influences? Who has influenced you musically throughout your life so far?
A lot of people.
Well, like who?
Oh, there's been, as far as jazz, you know, Watrous, J.J. Johnson, a lot of people, even people that aren't trombone.
John, our time is up.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed talking with you again. And we now go back to the stage and hear the Southwest Missouri State #1 band. It's conducted by Jerry Hoover. Let's get back to it.
Marty Morrison.
Thank you very much. That also featured solos by Randy Luna on piano. This next piece is a Bob Mintzer chart entitled Latin Dance. David Munwiller.
Randy Luna. Marty Morrison on the Rob Nichols on conga. Roger Brooks on set. Thank you very much. Here's a beautiful ballad that was arranged for the band by our trumpet player Davy Scott. It's entitled It Never Entered My Mind and features Davy Scott on trumpet. Davy Scott on trumpet.
Jerry Hooper, director. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, there it is, the Southwest Missouri State #1 band, conducted by Jerry Hoover. That was Straight No Chaser. Before that, we heard It Never Entered My Mind, a ballad, and before that, Bob Mintzer's Latin dance. Again, the Southwest Missouri State #1 band from Springfield, Missouri. Good evening again. My name is Gary Chu. We hope you're enjoying this live cable cast of big band competition from the Miller Concert Hall here in Dirksen Fine Arts Center on the Wichita State University campus. We have several bands yet to go, I think about 4, and we're starting to move into the bands that are not competing now but will be performing only all up until about 11 o'clock tonight. Something else we'd like to tell you about, John Hurd, the bassist, who is one of the 1988 Wichita Jazz All-Stars, who will be performing tomorrow night at the Cotillion, has an art exhibit at the Wichita Art Association out on East Central. Mr. Hurd also will be, besides making music in Wichita this weekend, also will be exhibiting some oils and some sculpture out at the Wichita Art Association. So if you would like to see what a musician can do in other areas of art, you might want to go out and take a look at that. Of course, the 88 All-Stars in for this weekend will be providing some clinic time for student musicians tomorrow here on the Wichita State University campus. So that includes, of course, John Hurd bass, George Cable's piano, Ralph Penland drums, Curtis Fuller trombone, and Harold Land tenor sax. And of course, as we said earlier, they will be performing tomorrow night at the Cotillion starting about 8 o'clock. And then, of course, Jimmy McGriff will be along at 9:45 with the rest of the kickoff party tomorrow night at the Cotillion. And then the big thing on Sunday afternoon begins around 12:30 or 1 in the afternoon. We'll be having another guest coming along here in just a moment. His name is Mike Steinell. He is an improvisation instructor at the University of North Texas at Denton, of course, a school that's almost, in fact, not almost, but is synonymous with good jazz. And he'll be here. He's a judge, and we'll be talking with him just a little bit later on. But right now, we'd like to recap, if we could, some of the things that are going to be coming up of real special interest at the Wichita Jazz Festival on Sunday evening. As we mentioned, the 1988 Wichita Jazz All-Stars, John Hurd, George Cables, Ralph Penland, Harold Land, and Curtis